Hello, everyone. So it's official. We're on YouTube live. We're going to wait for more people to join us and get this galactic party started. Yes, this is going to be a good topic. I did a video on Instagram today. It was only a minute long or 2 minutes long. And I said, if you guys want me to elaborate on this topic, just go to my YouTube and subscribe. And if there's enough interest, that's the best way to let me know. Because as you guys know, I do like sometimes 2 videos a day on Instagram. So there's no way for me to cover every topic in a full length version. So I always tell people subscribe when I do a video on Instagram. This way you can let me know if you want me to elaborate on this topic. And enough people subscribed, so I thought I'd jump on, drop in with you guys, and talk about some things. So right now we have 243 people in the room. We're going to wait a little longer, maybe 2 minutes or so. I hope you guys are well. I've been meditating a whole lot today. I feel like I'm a spiritual energizer bunny. I just keep going and going. And now I'm ready to pour from the overflow. If there was such a thing as charging your battery to 110%, that's what I did today. So I'm ready to offer you that 10%. Thank you, Norma, for the donation. I appreciate it. And thank you to Hailey Mayu. Thank you. So I've advised the people on Instagram to jump over and join us. I love my YouTube community so much. I love you guys. We'll wait 1 more minute and then we'll get started. And I'm glad to see that feeding wounds versus feeling wounds has been doing really well. I'm really, really happy to see that. Thank you, Karen and Allison. Thank you, Golriz. And just know I'm sending you a beam of light. I see it and then I'm like telepathic. I just tell my angels, send them light. Thank you, Carl. All right, so we're going to begin, you guys. The topic of discussion tonight is who is creating your reality? Or better yet, what is creating your reality? Whenever you decide that you're going to start being fully responsible for how you respond to your reality, for how you respond to what you magnetize, what you draw to self, then you're really positioning yourself to be a powerful player in this game of life. Because you're willing to look at every single thing that pops up into your personal hologram and deal with it, rather than bypass it. So I want to discuss how if in life you decide to be half responsible for how you respond, then you can still have a great life, but what is going to occupy that other half? What is going to occupy that other half? That's the question at hand. If you're only half responsible for how you respond to things, meaning you're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this right now, I'll just let this one slip by, then obviously there's another consciousness that is creating through you. Because we're in a game where there are invisible players, there are entities, there are other spirits, there are thought forms. And so we're part of this gigantic soup filled with a myriad of ingredients or of essences. And those essences represent different beings, different spirits, discarnate beings, beings that have passed, and so forth and so forth. So if you're not occupying half of your brain, and that's just a metaphor, but it's a good way to delineate what we're going to be discussing tonight. If you're not occupying but a half of your brain, meaning you're only half responsible, you only want to account for half of it, of what shows up, then there's another half that's going to occupy your brain. And they're going to create your reality through you via your unconscious, because you're choosing to not shed a light on that other half. Now, who are they? They can be a multitude of things. They can be your higher aspect, meaning your team, your angels, your guides. They can also be other parasites or other entities who may not have your best interest at heart, but who are going to capitalize on you not being fully woke or fully lit within your brain. So they see it as an opportunity. They're not bad, right? In many respects, you've been an entity to other people as well. Think of all the times that you were hanging on to a job or you were hanging on to a person and you kept fixating over them all the time. Well, that can be likened to you being a parasitic thought form that isn't letting go. But for some reason, hanging on is giving you some sort of a fuel. It's feeding you in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. So I don't want to put anyone in a bad or good category for this video because it's just a game that we're in. And different energies, different frequencies will indwell different vibrational ranges. There are different vibrational ranges. And the vision I'm receiving right now is, let's just consider for a minute that you have a moment of weakness, or you start to be really hard on yourself in life, or you bump into someone who's doing better than you and you walk away doubting yourself. Well, in that moment, you teleport into this into this vibrational range. You can think of it as a forest, and then there are all these beings that are like, ooh, look what just appeared. Let's go take advantage of that. Okay, so because your vibration has kind of gone down the tubes, you now become visible or detectable by other entities who are inhabiting that vibrational range. Is this making sense? So you're vibrating high, you're joyous, you're happy, you're excited about life. All of a sudden, you bump into someone that starts to make you question yourself. And just like that, you teleport into that lower vibrational range where other beings are occupying the space. And those other beings are like, ooh, look at that cute thing. Let's go take advantage of it. And then they feast on your energy. Another thing that they can do is they can nest, truly like nest in your auric field. They can nest in your field of resonance because they already know your weaknesses. And the example that came to me this morning was, think of the times that you might have been intimate with someone sexually, and then you heard a voice in your head that said, don't wear a condom. It was like a whisper, don't wear a condom, right? Would a voice of reason tell you that? No, it wouldn't say that to you. The higher dimensional beings would always say, or your higher aspects would always say, we want you to be in full control of your reality and what you're drawing to self, and not wearing a condom might leave you in subjugation to whatever it is that is the outcome of that decision, of that choice. So think of all the times where you thought, I'm trying to be healthy, and then you hear a voice that's like, screw it, just eat all kinds of sugar tonight. And I'm not saying that that's an entity per se, because I love sugar and I love to have cookies. I don't judge myself for it. I don't shame myself for it. It's a conscious decision. But there are many people who are driven by other energies within their unconscious, and they don't even know about this, which is why oftentimes you'll see people who are so asleep spiritually that they almost look like they're in a zombified state. You know, those people who just don't have a voice, they don't speak their truth. They almost come across soulless, like they don't have a soul. Well, that's because they've signed on the dotted line so many times with these other beings that now these beings are like, have really overtaken their kingdom, so to speak, and they're not even in the fold anymore. And I see this all the time. This happens when you have someone who is, let's say, anorexic, and anorexia is not something that's easy to deal with. But because they're not listening to those voices that are like, hey, take care of yourself, and they're choosing instead to maintain this look, or this, they might have body dysmorphia and they want to look a certain way and they think that that's beautiful when in fact it's just disempowered. Well, what's disempowering them are the other beings, but the other beings aren't really disempowering them. They're disempowering themselves. Right? And when you start to move into a non-dualistic state, into a non-polarized vibration, then you can see that everything is an opportunity that's being afforded to you so that you can make a better choice. If you keep feeding into those entities that tell you you look better the skinnier you get, well, you're eventually going to have demonic possession. Demonic possession to me is just that you've bought into these lies so many times that you now don't even, your soul is nowhere to be found. It's still there, but it's covered in mud. It's covered in mud. And that mud is almost like a dark mist that wanted to infiltrate you, that wanted to take over your kingdom so that it can start to create through you and use your body as a vehicle to do so. I remember years ago, before I even awakened, I always had like really cool insights. But this man that was a friend of mine was working for this woman who was an alcoholic. And she would go to the restaurant and fall all over the place. She was belligerent. And he was like, Phil, I don't understand how this woman is still alive. She drinks like a freaking tank. And I'm like, she's not alive. She's not there. The entities are keeping her alive as a means to take other people's energy. Because when she's belligerent, when she's abusive, when she falls all over the place, she's creating chaos. So that chaos, it might infect other people around it, and then those other people will then get possessed as well. Not always, but it really is like a dark mist that wants to permeate everyone and everything. If you were to see it from the overview, you would see that planet Earth is a beautiful gem of a planet with people who are vibrating really high and have become these beautiful snowflakes with a beautiful aura because they're living in integrity, with honesty, with truthfulness. And then you would see a lot of people who have this dark cloud around them. And that dark cloud is representative of the choices that they're making, which is why you can't blame anyone. Everyone's trying to get by. You can't blame a reptilian being, or you can't blame another energy if they see that they can leverage your energy and capitalize on it. You can't blame them. What it is that you're not paying attention to your Achilles heel, to your weaknesses. And they see that as their entry point to jumble your mind, to throw you off balance, to knock you out of your center. I do readings every day and I speak to people who are like, oh my God, I don't know what to do about my life anymore. I don't know. This guy's not calling me back. That's an entity that's attached to you. When you're peaceful, when you're in harmonic alignment with all that you are, you don't ask questions like that. You trust your journey. You know what you're doing. You're not all out of sorts. It's okay to ask these questions because we're here to clear that energy for you, to get you back in alignment. I'm like an energetic chiropractor. I can look at you and see your entire field. But I'll keep it really 100% real with people. I'm very straightforward because that's how I'm able to transmit those vibrational key codes that move them back into a space of alignment. It's like, boom, it's like a chiropractic adjustment. So if you decide I'm going to be 100% accountable for how I respond to what I'm attracting, then you're going to have access to the control panel in your life, which means that now you can become a divine architect. You can have a hand in what you're creating because you're not bypassing anything. You're occupying all of it. All of it. You're fully conscious. So you're consciously creating. You're a conscious architect of your reality. Now, the good news is if you don't occupy all of your brain, your entire mind, you can still have a wonderful life. Because I've met a lot of people in the course of my life that they weren't the most awakened people, but the thing about them is they were good people. They knew like I shouldn't steal, or they knew let's not try to cheat the system. They knew let's not deceive someone. So when someone has good intentions and they're well intended, even if they're not occupying everything, they can still create an awesome reality. Because who's going to pick up your slack? Your angels, your guides, your higher self, your universe. They're going to pick up your slack. There are other aspects of who you are. And that kind of ties into the energy of like let go and let God. So if you're not wanting to deal with something, that's okay. You're going to pass that energy on to another aspect that can deal for it for you. So it's doing you a solid. And in the future, it might place a call and be like, hey, can you do me a solid? I don't want to deal with this right now. And you'll be in a position where you can, because you may have different strengths than it, and it might have different strengths than you. So if you can think of all of your parallel selves, and I talk about the parallel selves a lot, think of your parallel selves as they are all residing upon different versions of Earth or on different star systems or in the ocean. And you guys form this network. You guys form this network. And your oversoul is kind of like the power plant. Your oversoul is managing all of your higher selves. It's not managing you on a personal level, it's managing all of your higher selves. So if one of you go rogue, meaning that you decide to go on your own journey and you start to get really dark and you don't wear that condom or you don't whatever, you don't make wise choices, then all of your other selves are going to suffer because you've thrown yourself off balance. So you've thrown that entire network off balance because you've gone rogue, which is okay. You have wiggle room. You have a chance to redeem yourself, to reverse that, but not always. That's the thing. If you're someone who's making poor choices and you're easily influenceable by those entities and they're creating through you, then you're creating by default, which means that you might not wear that condom and end up with a child. You may not want that child, but you're going to end up with it. So does that mean that you're doomed? No, you're not doomed. It's just that because you've made a choice that has led to this repercussion, or because to every effect there's a cause, what's going to happen is there are ramifications for your choices. So you're going to have to work with that. Oh, I didn't want to be a mom. I was stupid. I wasn't thinking in the heat of the moment. No pun intended. In the heat of the moment, I wasn't thinking. So now I'm going to deal with this and I'm going to shift my perception and I can still have a wonderful life. Now I have another life to care for. I have a child. So your God source will never forsake you. It will never leave you astray. It will never do that, okay? It will never leave you on someone's doorstep. You can still design an amazing reality with what you have, even if you weren't fully conscious at the time. And the vision I'm getting now is like, until we become awakened, there's always like a support system that looks out for you. And then once you become awake, then you have to be responsible for your choices. So that's where the question comes in, right? Is there such a thing as fate? Were you really meant to have that child? From one perspective, you were, because obviously you didn't have the wherewithal to make a wise choice at the time. So you were. From another perspective, you weren't. You create your fate. You weren't. That was just a mistake, straight up. Let's just admit it. It was a mistake. You weren't thinking clearly. And now you're having to deal with it. But sometimes people will say, oh, of course it was meant to be. And they do that to comfort themselves. It's like food for the soul. I'm just going to say this to make myself feel better. But they're right. Okay. From one viewpoint, you're right when you say that. Because nothing is an accident and everything can always be reworked. Every script can always be rewritten. You can't not have a child because you made that choice, but you can still have a great life. So if you're someone right now who's uncertain as to what you're doing, that's okay. You just have to decide, I'm going to be an honest person. I'm going to be truthful. I'm going to have integrity. And then you can rest assured that your guides are going to look out for you. The wind is going to be at your back. There's going to be a support system there that kind of carries you through your journey, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Does that mean you will have a hand on the control panel? Maybe not. Maybe you're going to become a vessel to bring in that light. You let go and you let God, which is more of a crystal energy, and you'll still have a magnificent life. Maybe you won't become an architect. Maybe you won't have the ability to build new worlds, which we have the ability to do. When you're in a meditative space and you have learned how to be in that fully empowered state, there's nothing that you can't do. You can give birth to new realities. You can give birth to new galaxies. That's not better, though. It's just a choice that you make. Everything is a choice. So you're never criticized, you're never judged for what you do. But recognize that you have a free will that's been assigned to you, and you get to decide where you're going to classify. Are you going to rank as someone who is 100% creator? Are you going to rank as someone who's 50% creator, or someone who is zero creator and you're in a zombified state and your entire reality is getting created through you via your unconscious? And I see that all the time. That's what someone who's asleep is. I like to say that we're all equal. I don't want to treat other souls like they're younger than me or older than me. No, we're all on an equal playing field. I can't stand when people treat others like they're younger or they're not mature souls. I don't like that. I feel like we all are on an equal playing field. It comes down to choice. If you meet someone who's 50 and they're not evolved spiritually, is it because they're not evolved? Is it because they're a young soul, or is it because they made poor choices? It's probably because they made poor choices. They weren't listening to the signs. They weren't paying attention when people yelled at them, like, wake the hell up. You have to listen in life. So when you're not occupying yourself, your body, you become susceptible to entity attachment. All right. And I have a video on that titled Demonic Strategies, I believe. You become susceptible to other energies. So these energies know exactly how to stir up your pot. They know you have a weakness towards a lover. They know you have a weakness towards porn. They know you have a weakness to whatever it is that you're dealing with. They know you in and out. Sometimes they even know you better than the back of your own hand. I don't know what the saying is, but they know you better than the back of their own hand. Because you're predictable. You're a predictable person. They know that if you go to a party and there's football, you're going to sit down and watch football. Now, how do they get energy from you, these entities? Well, let's just go back to the example of not wearing a condom. They know that if you get pregnant, you're going to flip a switch, that you're going to spin out of control. Right there, that's energy for them. They're feeding off of, they're nibbling on that lower vibration energy of freaking out, panicking, fear. What am I going to do? I don't know that I can do this. That's all energy. It's all energy. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with joy, with anger, with disharmony, with upset, with grudges, with sadness. It's all energy. But I don't want to give them a name, because when you throw labels on them, you're still playing the victim. You're still playing the victim. Those entities are a reflection of your entity self. They're a reflection of your parasitic aspect. So you can't be susceptible to them, or you can't be subjected to them unless you're still playing that game. If you have black magic cast on you, or if you have some sort of a demonic entity attached to you, that means you're still a demon to something else. Did you try to get away with not paying for a bill? Did you just gossip about your friend? Are you still playing the victim because you're still at the same old job? That means you're still a demon to that situation. Think about it. You want someone to put money in your pocket, and the whole time you're going to complain about them putting money in your pocket? That's that demonic energy right there. So we need to get out of this whole dualistic mindset of they did this to me, they did that to me, right? A lot of people frown upon banking systems, and they call them corrupt, or they'll call Verizon or all these corporations demonic because they're like a pyramid. Well, I don't know about you. In my life, when you start a business and people are always trying to get things from you, you set a boundary. Okay, now you move up to another level. And then you start seeing how other people want to take advantage of you. You set another boundary. That's another level. So what people call a pyramid isn't a pyramid. It's you understanding how people are, how parasitic they can be. It's too easy to play the victim and say, oh, they're demonic. If they're demonic, why are you getting their service? Why are you can sign up with someone else. You can start your own company. You see what I'm saying? We're too quick to play the victim and to point the finger and to delegate blame games sometimes. If you were a company like AT&T, believe me, you would be hard to get to. Believe me, you would look out for yourself because you know how people are. You have to set boundaries. That's how life goes. There's no more pointing finger. We don't point fingers. So going back to you not driving your bus, something else will drive your bus for you every time. Because it's consciousness. Consciousness is everywhere. And consciousness exists within different vibrational ranges, within different frequency bandwidths. If you're unhappy, and let's just imagine for now, I'm just talking off the top of my head. Let's just imagine right now that there is unhappiness is equal to 4 gigahertz, and unhappiness ranges between 4 to 7. I'm just making it up right now for the sake of this conversation. Well, now that you're unhappy, everything that dwells within between 4 to 7, within that range, is going to come after you, right? Because you've just appeared within that vibrational range. When you know you've become a master of your reality is when you can go into the 4 to 7 deliberately and be unaffected. I can travel to the underworlds and nothing's going to touch me. That's because I've decided to be 100% responsible for my reality. I'm not going to go down into the underworlds or go play with dragons and then leave crying. I'm going to step it up. Dragons are powerful. Step it up. I'm not going to go get to know demons that dwell within the gigahertz of 4 and then walk away and say, you won't believe what they did. You won't believe how they think. No, I'm not going to judge them. I'm going to thank them for the intel. I'm receiving information. People often ask me, is all of your information coming from the 9? No, the 9 are me. They're inside of me. It's coming from me. I'm self-taught. The entire universe is inside of you. You can travel to any star system from within here. So my information comes from the 9. Another way that I would describe the 9 is I deliberately went up into the cosmos, into different places, into hell, into heaven, and I placed satellites. LIGHT, satellites. So I can actually go astral travel, go place satellites everywhere using alchemy, using my divine architecture, using all the skill sets that I've acquired by being fully responsible. And when I'm talking to you guys, all these satellites are sending me signals. It's not the 9. That's just another presentation. Another presentation is my spiritual sight is open. So I can take my spiritual binoculars that have one eye on them, and I can look into the ethers and grab information. It's not, people say the 9 are demons. No, the 9 don't even exist from one perspective. They're me. It's just another aspect of who I am. Just like when you're all crazy with your friends, that's not you all day long. That's an aspect of who you are. When you're fiery and you're like, get out of my way, that's just another aspect of who you are. You're not that all day long. So when people say things like the 9 are demons and blah, 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 that's just, no, it's not true. You're revealing your weakness in that moment. You understand? It's all just a different way to present information. Now, when I think about the 9 in my head, I'm automatically plugging into them. They look like 9 light beings. So that's an instant activation. I'm like, whoop, okay, I'm connected to that aspect. Today, on my walking meditation, I was a bat, suspended. And right away, I felt something different. These are all aspects that we can access from within ourselves. Your DNA, once it's active, gives you the ability, grants you the ability to time travel, to interdimensionally travel, to place satellites everywhere, to have eyes everywhere. You decide how you set the stage. There's no one governing me. It's all me. All right? So, What I wanted to say is that when you dip down in your vibration, yes, something is going to attach to you. Why is it attaching to you? Ask yourself, from that non-dualistic space, why is it attaching to you? To show you that you've just distanced yourself from your higher self. To show you it's not bad, it's how you perceive it. It's showing you, hey, you left home and now you're in a dark forest and there's all these wolves around you. And through that, you can go, whoa, okay, let me just connect to my breath and pop back into my center. I'm going to teleport back to my center. So once you become 100% accountable for everything you do, then you can deliberately go into these different dimensions, and everyone is your friend. I don't have enemies in the universe. I don't. That's why I'm so backed by so many different star races and so many different beings, because they know that I'm appreciative for all the information that I receive. I'm not threatened by them. They're my friends. You only have enemies when you have an enemy from within you. As soon as you see someone online who's like, oh, this person's demonic, that's a demon. That's a demon. That's their own enemy that's being reflected back to them through this light that this person is emitting, and it's showing it to them. That's their own demon. Everyone is divine. The question is, how are you choosing to play this game? I'm not going to be just channeling the nine. I'm going to bounce around. I'm a clairvoyant. I channel the nine. I have satellites everywhere. I'm an alien in physical form. So I'm not going to limit it. It's all a form of expression. You're trying on different frequencies, just like you want to wear red, or you want to wear green, or you want to wear blue, or you want to listen to hip hop, or you want to listen to rock. Just different expressions. So if you find that your life isn't going as planned, and you're scrambling to figure it out, or you're uncertain, or you're confused, or you're panicky, let that be your indicator that you're out of alignment. That there's something in your field, almost like a virus, but it's not a virus, it's how you perceive it, that's giving you information so that you can learn from it. So that you can start seeing what you didn't want to see. So that you can start to up your percentage ratio of how responsible you want to become. And I promise you that if you go all in and you commit to being this deliberate creator of your reality, you will have a hand in everything you do. You will be able to bend your reality. You will be able to warp time. So I hope this helped you guys. But the main thing I want you to get from this message is, when you're unconscious, something is creating through you. What is it? Well, it might be your higher self if you're a good person. It might be your higher self if you do the right thing in life. If you're half responsible, something's still creating through you. If it's those voices that tell you you're never going to be enough, you're never going to amount to anything, your dreams are never going to come true, you'll never find the love of your life, and you believe those lies, then you're allowing an energy to hook into you and find a rental space or a rental unit within your home. And that entity is going to take your energy, which is why you always feel flat, which is why you always feel sad, because it's a cycle that perpetuates. That's when you have to take out your magnifying glass and go like, what's going on in my field? Where am I still playing the victim? Where am I still not holding myself responsible? Where am I still clinging on to things? If you're still clinging on to someone, that means you're a demon to that person. This is important stuff. And I know it's kind of basic, but sometimes we need to go basic. We need to go practical. So I love you guys, and I hope this helped you guys. And thank you for your donations. I'm very appreciative. And yeah, I thank you. And thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. We have 733 people in the house. Woohoo! And I'm sending you so much love, infinite blessings, sprinkled with light code, sprinkled with everything. All right? I love you guys. I'll see you in another version of the Now.